you spend too much time tinkering in the back end. You spend too much time worrying about stop messages. I believe you're not spending enough time doing the things you have to do to be successful.
Hello and welcome to Keeping It Real, the podcast where we talk to the best, most interesting people in real estate, and we got a good one for you today. Maybe not the most exciting news, but something that you definitely need to be aware of what's going on. We are talking about the future of text messaging, particularly around automation. I'm going to introduce our two guests here. So we've got Dillon Simms. So Dillon, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll talk to the camera. I am Dillon, Director of Product here at Real Geeks. I've been in product management and building products and software and lead generation for real estate agents for about 8 years. I worked at Realtor.com before Real Geeks. I've done everything from generating leads to software to, managing businesses, all the good stuff. So very excited to be here to talk about this topic.
And a real pleasure to work with.
Hey.
Gem of
And if you've been around the Real Geeks community for long enough or watched enough Keeping It Real, you already know who this guy is, Todd.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here as well. I'm Todd Tramonte. I'm a real estate broker and a Real Geeks user, like many of the folks watching this. I've been around Real Geeks, I think it's 13 years. It could be 14, somewhere in that range. I have the opportunity to host our annual user conference and to have a little bit more access to these guys than maybe some of the users, which is a privilege to me. I try to use that really, really wisely, which we'll get to in a minute. But this topic's really important to me as well. Obviously, we want to generate and convert leads and earn commissions and have impact with our clients, with our team in the community, and without wasting opportunity, right? And so this is a topic that I'm fired up to learn from and also to contribute to in whatever way that we can.
And I am genuinely happy that we're doing this live because it's so much more fun to do it this way than over Zoom.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's set up why are we gathered here today. So a lot of users, not just of Real Geeks, but in the broader software ecosystem have noticed that there's a lot more sort of legalistic language on text messaging. And so with that, Dillon, do you want to tee us up for maybe where we're at, what people are seeing, and like what's getting people's attention?
A good question. So I think there's a couple motivations going on. The first one is lawsuits. So nobody likes to get sued. So basically a lot of lawsuits in the past few years around the four-letter word TCPA. That's led to a lot of privacy policy language changes on the bottom of every single lead form. You've been to Realtor.com, you've been to Zillow, you've seen how the big block of text below your buttons, maybe you've had to put it on your websites, maybe your software provider does that. That's to avoid some lawsuits. And why do we have it on there? That's to protect yourself from auto dialers and texting and doing it the wrong way. And this is like big dollar amounts here, multi-million-dollar stuff, so got big attention. The second piece is deliverability. So the carriers are under a lot of pressure to reduce spam text messages. So I know personally, yesterday I received 3 text messages about my Netflix account subscription and it's been compromised or it needs to be updated, my billing information. So they're trying to prevent those from happening. And so they've implemented some rules for any application that sends text messages. So any software you're using to automatically send texting, they got some new rules to follow, and Real Geeks is one of those.
So to kind of set it up, basically, there's been 2 things, like big regulatory push, TCPA, and then there's also been the carriers who are just trying to cut down on the spam that's coming in and upsetting their end users. And so that is driving changes from the carriers through to the sort of middle pieces of software that we'll talk about into products like Real Geeks. But I think one of the things that's important to have context for in this discussion is kind of like the broader historical thing, because we were in this era of like kind of wild west of SMS and texting, and you could basically text whoever you want, whenever you wanted, and that's kind of coming to an end. But it's not the first time that we've seen this story play out. So Todd, maybe you can walk us through emails, dialers, like...
Yeah, I think before we even dive into the specifics, just why does anyone care about this conversation at all?
Yeah.
So if I'm watching, and I'm sitting in between two brilliant, technology, marketing, software creator. I'm not that guy. I'm a real estate broker. I'm an agent. My job personally is to coach my agents and some other agents that we work with around the country to how to go sell homes and feed their family and take a vacation and enjoy their lives. So I'll dive into the specifics in just a second, but I do think it's important to talk about why all the technicalities matter. Why would you keep watching this? Why would you pay attention to this anymore? And I would tell you, stay here. Even if you hate this stuff, dig into the end of this, be equipped, be informed, and keep your ship from sinking, right? Now, to answer the question specifically, I've been around Real Geeks 13-ish years. I've been in real estate 20-something years. And there's a lot of you that have been around longer than me. So you've seen this happen. We were faxing documents in the early days, right? Now we're talking about email, text messaging, digital chat, and all this stuff. When those things come to market, we end up having wide open access. And there's a heyday. I'm not normally the earliest adopter. I like to let that first crowd go and all get shot in the back with arrows. I do want to be maybe in that second wave where it's like, cool, they figured out some things that work. I'm going to go do those things that work, and I'm going to do them over and over and over and over until they don't work. So I'm a keep it simple guy. I always say as simple as it can be and as sophisticated as it needs to be. Too simple is a problem, and fighting against sophistication is a problem, but let's find some balance. And so to be specific, in the early days of email, it was this way. Not everyone even has one, but if I've got one, I can reach anyone on the planet that I have an email address for, right? Well, we all know there have been some restrictions there. There's junk and there's spam and there's boxes and all that stuff. Well, now that's starting to happen with text messaging, right? In the early days of text, I would tell my agents, text, call then text. Text has almost 100% read rate.
Yeah.
Why would we not do this? Text, follow up. Then there was the battle between bulk group texting and solo one-to-one texting. Okay, we're learning that this is a little bit better than that, but this is still worth it because we don't have enough time. So there was all that. Now we're realizing, a lot like email. Remember back in the day, if you had a phone number, you could call anyone on the planet. Then there was unlisted numbers, right? This is something that happens in every technology. So now we're finding, okay, text messages are not everyone gets read, everyone gets delivered. As a matter of fact, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and these people are now saying, we won't even send your messages anymore.
Yep.
It's not that they won't get it, we won't even let it go out.
Right.
If you're being an idiot with our network. So that's annoying. Can we just all agree that sucks?
And it's very similar to the road that we've traveled with email.
Yeah. Well, and that's my point. Even on the telephone,
Right.
Telephone, email, cell phone calls, and then you think about, we can talk about it later if you want, the dialers and things about
I want to mention
business to
that
business,
right now,
business to consumer.
I think that's an important conversation, one that as we were prepping for the show, I hadn't immediately thought about. But I do know that under TCPA, there's some very heavy fines that will be leveled against people that are sort of incorrectly using dialers. So
so TCPA is Consumer Protection.
Yep.
Telephone Consumer Protection Act.
There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
And then just, do not call is something we need to think about, right? So I'm just trying to parallel all the places that in a business like mine, or maybe like yours, this stuff matters, right? You can do this, but you can't do this. If you do this, then you don't get to do this other stuff anymore either. We will take this resource away from you. We're all trying to find the most cost-efficient, time-efficient, effective way to actually help people. Just let that sit for a second. We just want to get a hold of people and say, hey, could I help you? And if I can help you, maybe I can help you 4, 5, 6 times between now and the time one of us retires or dies, right? So that's the goal, is just to help people.
Yeah.
We're not horrible dirtbag telemarketers sitting in, some foreign country trying to kick people's door in and take their money. We're trying to actually serve them. So this stuff matters for those reasons.
Yeah, I think it matters even more in real estate than other industries because the life cycle of a buyer is long, right? It's 6 to 12 months before somebody introduces yourself to you, Todd, before they actually pull the trigger. And so you need to stay in front of them and communicate, build that lifetime relationship with them as soon as possible, and have an efficient way of communicating. And texting is one of those channels. So
yeah, and I know you've got some things you want to cover, so I'll save it for later. But I do think it's worth talking about the future of the industry and the future of how we actually reach and serve those clients, because it's changing rapidly. This is a big part of it, but there's a lot more to it that overly focusing on this is going to get you in trouble too.
Well, yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk a lot about that maybe in sort of second half of this podcast, and a lot more at the conference. You want to tell anyone about that?
Glad to do that. Yeah. So in October, third week of October, 17th, 18th, 19th, I'll give you a website here in a second. We're gathering, and we're going to do a lot of this, right? Hey, what's relevant? Who knows the most about that? Great. Would you come share? Who's winning with this? Who's succeeding? Who's made some mistakes that we don't want to repeat? That's basically the concept of the conference. It's a 3-day deal. Day one, we do heavy Real Geeks technology. How are you using your platform? We'll throw Dillon out there and make him tell us most of what he knows. We don't understand all of it, but the part we can understand, we'll get CEO, chief marketing, we'll get all these people out that can help us use the tool itself better. Day two, we'll use Real Geeks to launch us into how are we running our businesses, kind of solo agent team, brokerage kind of stuff. We'll share all our best stuff on panels and breakouts and things. And then day three, my team and I and some other key Real Geeks users will say, this is what I'm doing. My process is take it and run with it, and we'll process and improve together. So it's 3 days of us gathering, cocktail parties, sharing technology, strategy, business building. Also, it's just a great time to connect and go, hey, I'm not doing this alone.
Yep.
Maybe bring a team member or a spouse and go, I'm not the only crazy one. Look, there's others. And have a great time. Get away from the business so we can work on it and not just in it. You can go to URGUC.com, Unofficial Real Geeks User Conference. It's obviously fairly official. Real Geeks is involved, but it's run by users for users. That's why we kind of threw that.
And there'll be links down below.
Yeah.
We'll point.
Great. They'll help you with that. So just
Okay.
go to the link. You can get a ticket now, or we'll talk later.
Okay, so Dillon, we got you here because we want to do a lot of the the juicy details behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the watch on this episode is actually going to come after the fact from people searching for answers on what's actually happening. So I want to give them that insight. So let's start with what are people seeing now that a couple months ago they probably weren't seeing when they're using any of the SMS related features in Real Geeks?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. The first is if you're using SMS, you may notice that the status of the message says undelivered. And that means that you got filtered by a carrier. And we're seeing a lot more of that just over the past 4 months. Real Geeks, I talked to other technology players in the industry. We're all kind of seeing that message. And of course, that's coming from the new rules that are being implemented. And so we asked our technology providers and a little bit kind of how texting works. You have a software company. That company has an intermediary. We use Twilio for that. And then Twilio talks to the carriers directly. And your message goes in between all these software and it can get stopped at any point along the way.
And Twilio is people have probably heard that name before because they're a 1,000-pound gorilla in this space that basically everyone uses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they do any kind of messaging from texting to chat, and they're the big player in the industry, and right now that's kind of the majority of texting through applications.
So people are seeing there's new language around hello, this is basically identification, and then there's stock language. So talk to us about that.
Sure. So the two requirements that are impacting kind of the content of the message that you're sending, the first one is sender identification. And so anytime you're sending a text to a new number, you got to say who it is. And if you don't say who it is, you're probably going to get filtered. And this is the best practice, right? I don't know, Todd, you want to mention?
Yeah, I was just going to pop in and say, I think a lot of us in the early days thought, just get right to it, kind of act like we already know each other, which is not necessarily misleading. It's kind of assumptive close language. But actually, what I found after talking to a lot of you who were either frustrated or just eager to learn in this, adding that has helped open rates.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about that part, you don't need to be worried about it at all. Adding that kind of mandatory identifier has actually helped in response rates, read rates, and what I would call a stick rate, meaning they don't stop, they don't unsubscribe. So that's actually been I didn't know we needed to do that. You guys made us do it, and it's helped. So that's actually not a problem at all. Some of us thought it would be. It's worked out great.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things is you may think, oh, just the first text message is fine. It's actually every single text you send to that person until they respond to you.
Yeah. Until they respond.
Until
after they respond.
And then after that, you don't have to have it anymore.
Okay. And I'm just going to go in with a little bit of marketing thoughts here. And maybe I'll even talk to the user out there. Come find me at the user conference, because I think that there is a way to optimize the iPhone Siri related suggestions, where when you put in your name and if you time the email the right way, that Siri will say, I think this is blank person, rather than just displaying a phone number. So I want to know how that works every time. Every time.
Yeah.
I do too.
So,
We're trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure that out in our office too. Time of day, frequency, number of messages at any one time.
Yeah.
How do I get them to want to deliver? And to your point, one example is Siri's trying to act like we know who that is. They were in your email. They were in over here.
Right, they're reading your Gmail.
And obviously we are also emailing and you may be chatting. So I think companies like Google and Apple are like, use all of our stuff and we'll reward you a little bit. And we don't always know how they're doing it. So I'll find you at the conference.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Todd. All right. Okay, so we talked about identification.
Yep.
Did we talk about stop language?
Not yet. So stop or opt-out language is the second requirement that basically any application that's in text messages has to now, implement. And so basically what you have to do is you have to insert into the first text message you send out, reply stop to unsubscribe or a similar language. And so, we have reply stop to opt out right now. And we had a lot of conversations with our customer base around how they're seeing people stop and they are replying stop to that. And so what kind of strategies can we now implement to kind of maybe have people think twice about replying stop to unsubscribe?
What kind of data are you guys seeing on changes in unsubscribe rate?
Yeah. Well, when we first introduced the reply stop to unsubscribe in the first text message, obviously you're going to get more people hitting stop, right? And we see across all of our customers, about 1 to 3% of all the messages that are going out actually replying stop to unsubscribe. So it's not that much when you look at it in an aggregate sense. But obviously, when you're on a micro scale, that 1 to 3% can be actually 10% for your customers, and so it actually can feel like a bigger hit.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in. Most of us are trying to generate as many leads as we can. Right? Yeah. Most of us are underutilizing or utterly wasting more than 1 to 3% of our leads. So on the one hand, just keep trucking, right? It's kind of what I'm telling my team. On the other hand, if I can get that number down, I want to.
Yeah.
And what we had discussed with a couple of the other kind of super users of the platform was, how creative can I be with rewording that stop language? Do you have any guardrails to give us, or where are we?
Yeah, we started getting real creative, and we got told no. And so our first one was stop me if you don't want me to text you anymore.
Yeah,
and that
was not good enough.
Got next. So we actually had a fire to put out as far as deliverability goes overnight that we had to do. So we ended up just using the language verbatim of reply stop to unsubscribe to try and put out the fire. We ended up doing that. And so now we're actually experimenting with other ways to say that language. And one of the ones that's really interesting is if you prefer I call you, reply stop to opt out.
And in case people aren't picking it up, you're fighting the good fight with Twilio and the carriers on behalf of the customers, trying to figure out what we can get away with while also trying to maximize deliverability.
Exactly.
So,
well, that was part of one of our previous conversations. It's like, look, I know that you want me to sell a bunch of houses.
And I don't want to put this language on any more than you want it on.
This is not the fun part of your job. Right. You stay a Real Geeks user forever because you sell a ton of houses with Real Geeks. So we're all on the same team. But a bunch of us that were wrestling with this had discussed that idea of, hey, stop if you'd rather me call you than text you. Feels like that's one they probably won't love either. But I do appreciate that Real Geeks is trying to find the sweet spot and the tolerance. And then I'm sure they'll move the goalpost and that'll change and we'll have to find it again. But for those of you watching or listening that are like, I'm not a part of these conversations, just know some of the more aggressive users, and more aggressive meaning doing whatever we can to maximize the efficiency and ROI on our platform and lead cost.
The leading edge guys
are trying to figure this out. And I don't even put myself necessarily in all those categories. I tend to tinker less with the technology and more with the marketing. But we all want the same outcome, which is a strong ROI, the platform work for us, and go do what we love to do. Does that line up?
That's exactly right.
So is this more like the way that social media companies are moderating on their platform, or a little bit more like, let's see what I can get away with and then fight it out in court later?
Good question. It's more like the former, where the rules that we have to play by are managed by the people who are actually sending out the messages. They get to choose which message goes and which one stays. It's not like, you get to send whatever you want. We got to play by their rules. And so that's kind of what's happening.
And part of the discussions we've had with some of the other users recently is is there like a tool I can use just to like type my language into and see if it passes or fails? I think that's kind of what you're getting at. No, there's not, right? It's sort of at their discretion. It's kind of like an umpire. They can interpret it however they want on this scenario. And what I learned from y'all too is someone may be sending way more messages. They might have a different level of scrutiny than someone else. So it's a moving target, I think, is kind of the
this to me, it feels, we've been talking about, where we can learn from history, right? Whether it's email or dialers, this part really seems like SEO. And, Google will release a blog post on some guy's personal blog that says, well, this is the way it is. And in this case, the analogy is we read, Twilio's help files that says, you need this language. And that's the guidance.
Yeah, and because this is so new, and even it's new to Twilio too, right? It's not like everything is set in stone. And so we're not seeing filtering on a customer level or at a phone number level. It's actually like at a message by message level. Like we've seen 4 messages go out, 1 not, and then the rest of them do. And there's no rhyme or reason behind it. And then we ask the question, they're like, here's our rules. And so
okay, all right, Dillon,
okay.
give us some industry insight here, right?
Okay.
Because I know that like you're connected in the real estate technology space.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of our friends, whether it's like Sync or Follow Up Boss or like other players. Is Real Geeks alone in this? Like, are we getting hammered, or like can people run away to some shadier platform, or like is this coming for everyone?
No, this is happening for everyone. These rules are coming down hard, and if they haven't done it yet, they will next week or next month. Like this is real. This is impacting kind of how we're doing business right now. And so it is coming. And actually just last week I saw another software provider rolled out a new set of features around this topic. So this is real time.
As a user, I'll comment that being here for such a long time, it seems that Real Geeks gets to these things earlier, which on the one hand I appreciate. On the other hand, you guys are the ones that take the beating because people
the fire
think,
first.
this company's not doing it.
Yeah.
And I have friends that have bailed, and then they're like, oh shoot, now I just had to reset up my whole platform, and now they're doing it.
Yeah, you got to
learn. What
learn
you're saying is, you're not going to escape Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, whatever. That's who we all use. And if you've heard of another company, they're on the back of one of those,
right?
Yeah. So you're not going to outrun it. My philosophy is I don't want to go through the headache of that platform switch or having to learn someone else's approach to it. I don't always agree with everything Real Geeks does, but I always trust that you want what I want. And eventually, what served me really well for 12, 13 plus years to trust the process, give as much feedback as you're willing to take, and then we almost always get over the hump and find the next opportunity to pursue.
I would say also just, for anyone listening out there, I know from watching Dillon that we read everything that you guys write to us. Like no matter the channel, no matter what level of how many caps you use, like we read it all. So like, we probably know.
So we hear it and we take that feedback and we make changes, right? We iterate on it just like any good process. You learn from things and you move forward in a positive direction, and again, like we succeed when y'all succeed, right? And that's
okay. So I want to start pivoting this conversation to like, okay, so what, right? Todd, that's really what you're here to help us with. But is there anything else on the technology side, that we want to talk about?
There's probably one more topic, which is if you have an application that's sending out text messages, you're probably getting an email saying you need to register now, and then you get a bunch of letters and numbers, and it's A2P 10 DLC, and you're like, doesn't mean anything to me. And you want to know what it means.
That does not mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything at all. It means application to person. So if not your phone, but like an actual application on your computer sending a text message to a person, that's A2P. And then 10 DLC is 10-digit long code. That's your area code plus your actual.
This is funny. So like
number.
Embarrassing admission. I think that we talk about this ever so often. I was on another podcast, and they're like, "So what is A2P 10 DLC?" I'm like, "Oh." Yeah, I'm not sure. It's sort of like Google NCC. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Some creative person came up with that acronym and was like, of course it means that. And everyone's like, nah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The point is, everyone's got to register all that stuff.
Yeah, you got to register. Yeah. Right. And it does. A lot of people use a lot of different platforms to send out messages. Right. There's so many ways that you can leverage text messaging today. There's autoresponders. There's one-off text messages that you're having with somebody during the process. There's AI text messaging solutions, there's your drip workflow solutions. and you may have one or more platforms, every single platform is going to ask you to register.
Okay, who's going to have to do that and when?
If you buy the service, like you're the owner of the platform, you got to do it. So it's normally one per platform you're using. So if you got Real Geeks and you got, one phone number, it's not per phone number, it's per account. So
okay,
yeah,
cool. So now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're asked.
yes, when you're asked, which is soon, if not now, if not 3 weeks ago.
all right,
Yes.
cool, exactly. Okay, Todd, let's pivot a little bit more into the okay, so what? So I'm running my business on a daily basis. Like, you're the marketing guy. A lot of people, come to you for guidance and on how to deal with this. When people say like, "Hey, I'm seeing stop messaging in my messages now," talk to us about those conversations.
So, from a big picture perspective, I don't want anyone whose job it is all day long to sell real estate to spend much time on this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm a team. I'm a brokerage that's exclusively a team. I'm the team leader. I'm not actively in production. So that's my unique version of this. But even if someone listening to this is a solo agent, you spend too much time tinkering in the back end. You spend too much time worrying about stop messages. I believe you're not spending enough time doing the things you have to do to be successful. If you want, we can expand on where I think the entire industry is going, and it's kind of full circle to when I got into the business 20-something years ago. But suffice it to say, kind of the meat of that is, if you're not building trust and building relationships and actually serving people at a high level, none of this stuff's going to matter anyway, right? If all you're doing is playing a numbers game of 1,000 leads and a X% response rate and an X% conversation rate and an X% conversion rate, you're not going to last very long anyway, because you're not building any retention and repetition and predictability into your business. You can make money that way, especially in certain market cycles, but if you want longevity, this needs to work, and then you need to go get to work on honestly more important things.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing good news here, right? Which is yes, it's a thing. It's going to be a headwind, but you need to be focused on first principles on how do I deliver value to my customers? Otherwise, what are you doing here?
Yes, you can buy, I'll take any name, phone number, and email over and over and over and over and over all day, and you have a lower quality list. It doesn't mean it might not even make you more money than the other guy, but it's a less targeted. In my business, and even in our coaching, we want to encourage our agents to go after their ideal clients. If you have a list of 500 ideal prospects, they're going to unsubscribe less, engage more, respond more, be more likely to repeat, refer, leave a review, all those things, right? If I have a list of 5,000 random people that I got name, phone number, and email from, they're going to do all those things more. Unsubscribe more, complain more, and then some of those things less. Buy less, repeat less, refer less, leave less reviews, all those things. So depending on the focus, the cleanliness, the quality of your lead gen, and by the way, the intensity of your lead follow-up, right? So if you've got a sweatshop of people on the phone back here just pounding people to death, and your workflows are like 20 emails a week, every week until the end of time, buy or die, buy or die, buy or die, you're going to ring all the bells and raise all the flags and get filtered more. Is that accurate? That you're asking me what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You're sending more messages,
Yeah.
you're more likely to.
If you're over here going, well, I call a lot, I send some automation, but that's really just a supplement to my relationship building, trust building over here, I don't think you need to worry about this as much. Now, I'm not judging either of those business models. Obviously, I have a preference, but if this is yours, you just have to know that you're going to have to deal with that. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, no, I think you are, because I think that, and you mentioned specifically what I was thinking about, which is, if you are pounding lists, pounding SMSs, doing all of that stuff, it makes sense that not only are you playing a high volume, low conversion rate game with people that are on that list, but you're also going to raise the flags with not just the SMS carriers, but you're probably also, getting interest from the ESPs of the world, like the email service providers, and
Not the kind of interest you want.
Right, not the kind of interest you want. Right, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if a real estate agent is going to rise to the level where an ESP would be like, oh, that's interesting. But Google has some really fancy AIs now that they use for Gmail deliverability, and so I don't know if you want to tempt the beast.
Well, I know some that are.
Yeah.
I know some agents that are. Their chest has been puffed out during a nice market swing where they're like, I just play the numbers game. I buy 4,000 leads a month just for me, and I just let the system burn and churn. and I needed to kick out 8 or 10 closings a month, which at that number of leads
Yep.
works. Well, all of a sudden that's not working anymore
Yeah.
because the market shifted.
Yeah.
But that could have happened for a plethora of reasons. The service, the email delivery service, the text delivery service, your phone company. I mean, who knows who in that chain? And by the way, a lot of people will not like this. Don't email me. Email one of these guys. No. But my point is this. I think a purely referral-only business is a little bit dangerous. I love them. I think you should get every referral you could possibly get. So I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying also diversify, protect, build some deliberate redundancy into your business through some other lead sources. And what I mean by that is if everything in your world is reputation-driven and something happens to harm your reputation. And I could give you examples. We don't have time for it, but you didn't do anything wrong. You got accused of something or some weird thing in the news shifts or you have to move for some reason. Anyway, all that can change. And so that's where if you're not careful and you burn a bridge, or if you rely too heavily just on the grinded out numbers game or the sweatshop of phone prospectors or whatever, you're vulnerable. And I think what you're asking me kind of my input on all this is just one piece of a bigger puzzle, which is why I would not obsess over it, because it's more important to me to build a stronger, sturdier puzzle, stronger, sturdier business, so that in market shifts, at risk of personality or any of these things, you're still consistently, predictably feeding your family and then some, and ideally having some positive impact in the world.
So you teased us a little bit with some of your big picture stuff, and I do want to get to that. But zooming into channel specific, Todd, you're always have great insights on the marketing side. So like, what is your team doing to maximize response rates in the text messaging SMS channel?
Yeah, so some of it is language, and I'll be careful with that because with the stop language, we're in a test phase of that. But it is oriented to how can I help you? This is where I think we're a bit weird in the industry. It's also oriented towards we can't help everyone. So we are not afraid to turn off the non-ideal client in order to be even more attractive to the ideal client, right? So we're willing to say we are not a fit for everybody. If you are looking to do X, Y, Z, it's usually more than 3 things, but if we could help you in one of the following ways, then we would be thrilled to offer time, attention, resources, access. We don't say it that way, but those things that tend to be the motivating factors. People tend to be drawn towards something or away from something. We want to be able to make use of both, right? And so the language in a text message, text 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are those things. But also we are never, ever, ever relying on just text messaging. That's a piece of an overall relationship building messaging approach. Land, air, and sea. Phone,
multi-channel,
text,
integrated marketing.
Yep.
ABC always be calling.
That's right. And a call doesn't always mean just the phone. In our office, we track things by calls, by the way. And most of you already have my call plan. If not, I'll give it to you somehow. But a call means we've made an attempt to connect with someone. To your point, to actually reach them, because until you've reached them and they've responded, it's a different type of communication. So we say, this is our follow-up plan for non-contacted. Once we've contacted them, everything's custom because it's based on what's going on with them, what they need.
Is everyone on your team using the same automations or do people customize it?
No, they're using the same technology and our automated follow-up is the same for everybody. Now there's some nuance to personality and style in their manual follow-up, which is honestly more important, but not like, John calls them once and Jeremy calls them 27 times. That's not acceptable. But John's a little bit more casual on the front end and Jeremy's a little bit more process oriented. Some of that is okay. It makes me want to get into another topic about what really needs to be dictated by what that person needs. But the point is there is some nuance, but systems wise, no. We promise a specific response or specific outcome, so we want everyone to deliver the same process.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Which is, so what happens if somebody replies stop? What do you do? So you're going to see it, right? With these new things coming out, somebody's going to opt out of your thing and you're going to get a stop message and it's going to crush you. It's going to crush your soul. It's getting told no, right?
If he does that, we can talk. Don't let him do that. Don't let him do that.
Yeah, don't let that happen, right?
Yeah.
Lead gen
I'm afraid to answer this. Are you asking Chris? I'm afraid to answer because I'm afraid you're going to tell me you can't do that.
No. But
if I get a stop message on a text message,
yeah,
I'm only being told to stop texting them period, and or from that channel about that thing.
From that channel about that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to call.
Absolutely.
We're going to email.
Yeah.
We might even mail them. We're definitely going to continue to send them home search response that is a separate thing that they have opted in for. Basically, we're going to try to reach them through another channel and nurture them and cultivate relationship and build trust and add value. And quite often, not necessarily specific to a stop text, but an unsubscribe of any kind, quite often we have people that are like, oh, no, I just didn't need that thing at that time, but I still want stuff from you. And so that's kind of part of this conversation too is, hey, can I turn them back on? Can I do this? And we're learning all those things on the fly. We are.
Yeah, exactly. You know, again, putting my marketing hat on, and I'm really excited to talk to more agents later or, you know, throughout the year, is it seems like if you're, okay, so these leads sign up on your website, right? They either clicked ads or they found you organically and they go to your website and they say, I want to do this home search, right? So they opt into that part. That's why you have their phone number for the most part. You know, and then if they say stop on text messaging, exactly to your point, maybe they just don't like messaging. But I also wonder, it's like, well, okay, what are in those beginning messages? Are you communicating what you're about to deliver to them?
Yeah.
You know, like there's more to that conversation than just like, stop, I got to give up on this lead. It's like that's not the case.
Well, I think another interesting thing is, you know, often the software providers think that, oh, this is the ecosystem where real estate agents live all day, every day, all the time. And like, that's not the case at all, right? The real world is the software is just helping you do what you do, and maybe you're in there 10, 20% of the time. You still have your cell phone, right? You can still call and text people from your cell phone. It's just the automated platform, you can't use it anymore. So I think that's important.
And honestly, we play that game with email too, right? Email automation is pounding them out, but jump over into your personal email and write an email from time to time that is very clearly
chat on the site.
Are we using what?
Chat on the site.
Yeah. So we have gone through seasons of turn it off, focus on this other thing, turn it back on, focus on this other thing. Yep. We just kicked it back on a few weeks ago and kind of re-equipped, retrained, re-emphasized with the team how valuable it is. It does require presence and attention to be real-time responsive. And that's a little harder than text is always with me all the time. But there's also some huge advantages to it because you're catching them while they're engaging with the platform as opposed to they liked a property and went back into a meeting. You know, so there's benefit to all of it. One of my favorite feature ads in all time at Real Geeks was the very first time automated text was added. And that's not what we mean by this automated text. That was when I could tell it, when someone signs up, send them this.
Yep.
So I think it all works well together. I'm not always using every single tool that Real Geeks offers, which I think we're all totally fine with, right? And the reason for that is if you're going to use it well. I think there's a lot of people that are like, I want this technology to do my whole job for me.
Yep.
And if that's the case, I'm here to tell you, sorry guys, you may not like this. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
You also have to work. And I think to the point you're making, it makes sense to me that you guys are obsessing over building the best platform on the planet and sometimes can forget that it's only one piece of our businesses. I do the same thing with my agents and my coaching clients. It's like, I am the greatest source of wisdom for them. Oh wait, they have parents and coworkers and friends. And, you know.
It's so funny how like we seem to like have these parallel thought processes because I was explaining to someone else, just general marketing concept of like a marketing campaign is the channel, the places that you're going to get the eyeballs and the asset or message, right? There's got to be content there. Yeah. Like you can't send an empty text message and get some action out of it. You can't have a blank Google ad. Like there's got to be content there. There's got to be a reason for the person to engage and consume and like drive action. So it makes perfect sense what you're saying, Tom.
Would you also say that as you do all that, this doesn't make it easier, it makes it harder, but it can make it work better. You're playing offense and defense in those campaigns. You might not think of it as a campaign, but in your process of follow-up and conversion. Because yes, again, we're so focused that they're getting all the messages, they're reading them, how do we get them to respond? But we're also fighting against all the other messages that they're up against. Right. So I would recommend, this is something we teach and train, is you're creating marketing to elicit a certain response. You're also creating marketing to keep them from making other more damaging or foolish responses. And in the world of real estate, if you're here and you're watching this, you're probably top tier. And your prospects have a lot of options. Most of their options suck. Yes. They're not horrible people. We value them as humans, but they're pretty bad real estate agents. So I think your messaging should say, hey, if you have this need, we can meet that. Also, be careful letting these people meet that need or believing that this platform can do it all for you. And there's more to it than just the wording and the meaning of the messaging. It's timing and kind of maintaining focus, kind of putting a fence around your herd and a bunch of other stuff.
So I'm newer to the real estate industry than you guys are, and as being on the consumer side of this business, as well as now peering into everything that's happening, one of the things that I see, and I like to say that, that my theory that I'm informing some of the messaging that you're seeing from Real Geeks, right? Because if you've been talking to me, you'll probably hear me say something like, Real Geeks enables a lifetime pipeline. And I think a lot of times when a customer chooses another real estate agent, it's because of inattention that the original real estate agent paid to that prospect, in their sphere long term. So Todd, I think this is a segue for your long-term vision of where this industry is going. But Dillon, I just figured I'd throw that at you first because you see all the back-end stats and usage, all that kind of stuff. So does any of that resonate with you, or you think I'm totally wrong?
It's one of our core value that we provide as a platform, which is to build lifetime relationships.
Yeah.
Like that's what we are trying to enable our customers to do, is to help them build lifetime relationships in the best way possible, right? And that's why you have a CRM, is to keep track of all the communication history, so you know what's going on with everybody all at once. And you can't keep 1,000 contacts in your head, so you got to have a platform that helps you remind you of, oh, I know who this person is. They have a dog. I got to talk to them about their dog, right? And that's kind of what we do. Yeah.
I mean, I just believe we're created for and wired for relationship, right? So when you think about what CRM stands for, most of us say customer relationship management.
Yeah.
Customer in our business is maybe an ugly word, client relationship manager, whatever. The point is you're trying to cultivate relationships. To my earlier point about a one-leg stool or a singular source business being dangerous, the buying of leads, which is not really what Real Geeks does. Some people think of it that way, but the ability to create, cultivate, capture, then nurture, all those things, that's one piece of it. But the way we think of it is get all those referrals you can, build all those relationships you can, and then I believe you use marketing to expedite the process of building more relationships for more lifetime value both ways. I can give more value and I can get more value. So having a CRM, having a site that's designed to get and allow and excite people to opt in, to compel them to do that in exchange for valuable content, relationship, help, service, data, whatever. Now, I've got multiple ways that I can build relationships, which is the whole stinking point anyway, right? So you can do it naturally and organically at whatever pace your life and lifestyle and community allows. And then you can use some marketing and a tool like this to speed that up, to scale that up so that you can help and serve more people. Now, to the big picture, stop me if I'm going where you don't want to go. When I got into the business 20-something years ago, the business was really just starting to mature where people thought of their real estate license and what they did with it as a real business. Historically, nobody was selling 200 houses. Even 100 houses was unbelievably rare then. That was still very much a neighborhood, secondary career, part-time kind of gig. And you could make a good living selling 12 houses a year. And that's what the vast majority of the industry did. It's still what the vast majority of the industry did, but the top has grown a little bit because of platforms like this and more professional thinking. All that to say, when I got into the business, it was just beginning to be popular to say all this ego image marketing is wrong. Putting your photo on things and making it all about you and your ranking and yours is stupid. Some of that is still true. What's interesting is I've seen us come full circle to where now, if you're not marketing in order to build relationships, like we just talked about, I think you'll get left behind. I think if you're playing the game of I'll do Zillow better than Zillow, or I'll do Zillow in my neighborhood, I'll generate a ton of leads, we'll play the numbers game, and we'll win. You're crazy. Now, in a hot market where there was opportunity everywhere, people got away with that for a while. I won't name any names, but some people even use Real Geeks to do that. I'll set up a platform in 5 cities. I'll spend a crud ton of money on PPC, and I'll generate leads and just refer them out, and people will sell enough homes that we'll all make a bunch of money. Well, markets shift, economies move, politics changes, technology restrictions incur. All that to say, I think we're actually coming back to where if you're not doing a bit more of that relationship style marketing, and some technology innovation comes into your market, if you can't be defended by people being like, no, I've been talking to Dillon for 12 years. He's helped me value my property, protest my taxes. He's gone the extra mile. They've they've helped me in ways that these big one-size-fits-all companies, businesses, platforms, technology, whatever, can't do. If you don't have that relational capital built up, I think you are highly likely, regardless of what your production, your unit count, your scale is, you could be taken out not only in a year, but in weeks. If all you could do is send out texts that did one thing and you just did 1 million a day, and then someone says, well, you can't send those texts anymore, you're in big stinking trouble. If Google decided to say, we're not running ad campaigns with budgets under $100,000 a month anymore, which they could do, I don't think they will. They could. People, if we're relying only on that, we're in big freaking trouble. So if there's not some diversification and some leverage built off of relationship, I think people are in trouble. And the funny thing to me is people were shouting, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Act like a real business, act like a big business. And now it makes sense that is how you act like a business at our scale, meaning an agent, a brokerage, a team.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that, there is a business model for the people that want to play the digital marketing game, but I don't think it's what you're talking about. I don't think that people are going, I agree with you that you're not going to build a lifetime business being the sort of stock art or stock photo guy on Zillow that is sort of easily forgettable. Right?
Well, and I'm saying both and, to be clear. We are acting like a big business with great technology in lots of ways, and we're using all forms of digital marketing that we feel apply to our scale and our client. But if you're not also doing the other, I think you're in really big trouble. If you're not using that to lead to relationship development, then you're a lot more vulnerable business.
One of the ways that I think about, a CRM and what it can do for you is it allows you to scale your ability to maintain those relationships. Because there's, you kind of see these numbers out there that's like, oh, people can have 100, names of people that they know or something like that, and then we talk about the effects of social media and all this kind of stuff. But as a business owner, having a CRM makes the individual a lot more scalable.
Yeah.
We do a lot of media marketing, but we only do it in media where it's proven to be a relationship builder. So,
well, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but in the macroeconomic sense, there's been a lot of doom and gloom talk, in the past few months, right? Yes. And if you fast forward, what if that actually happens? Well, the types of transactions you're going to get are not people who want to buy homes, people who want to move up, who are super excited. They're the people who have to buy homes or have to sell their home, right? Because of some other need. And they need to go to somebody that they trust. And the person they're going to trust is the person who built that relationship with them. And so, having that relationship is critical. If you look at, if this happens, you need to set the foundations now for your entire database and have those relationships set so they come to you and think of you as the person to trust.
Yeah, I would add expertise to trust in that scenario because regardless of what happens in the real estate market and the economy going forward, let's just assume it's less boisterous than it was for the last run-up, right? People are drawn then to expertise. Before they were drawn to the excitement and the eagerness of it and how far they could stretch their money, and they valued expertise pretty lowly, right? They're like, I can write my phone number on a paper plate, tape it to my mailbox and sell my house, right? Yeah. Now it's like, whoa, neighbor's house didn't sell quite so quick. I'm not gonna use my nephew this time. I'm gonna use that person that's proven to me over the last decade that they know what they're doing. So if that's not you, trust and expertise are the way to go. So to your point about some of the really skillful internet marketing and even offline marketing, you can't, I'm not talking about going back to hunky-dory neighborhood goober. I'm talking about relationships, leveraged, scaled, expedited by technology. And we can do that in some really powerful ways. But I think one of the big, huge benefits, I know we're coaching and training on a lot that I don't think a lot of other people are, is the fact that the consumer base is being drawn towards expertise like they haven't been in over a decade.
Yeah.
So if they're like, she's just sharper, she's got a better track record, she's got a system, I don't even care if she might charge more or she might make me follow her system. She's not going to run around and pant like a puppy and beg to put a sign in my yard. I know that's what I need more than I did 3-4 years ago.
And I know you work with Teresa, and so plug for our last episode with
really
Teresa. Last 2 episodes. producer Sean's coaching me here in the background.
Killing it.
Yeah, we're really proud of those episodes. And Teresa absolutely was an awesome guest. And the last episode, if you're scrolling chronologically, was about basically the rise of the Austin market. And she talks a lot about these issues. Okay, when the market's going down, how do I do it, guys? I feel like we've been drilling down on starting with SMS, and now we're starting to get into the existential what's going on in the marketplace. Which seems like maybe a conference would be a better format.
It would be a great time. Yeah, I'll just throw a quick plug. This is what we do there. Sometimes it's stand and teach, stand and speak, but there's a lot of this. There'll be 4 different breakout sessions with 2 to 3 options each. So just scale that real quick. You're gonna 10, 12 different places you can go. Bring your team, bring a spouse so you can divide and conquer and take it all in. We'll be here in North Dallas, October 17th, 18th, 19th. There'll be a link somewhere around this video you can click, and it's early bird pricing right now, so you can save $100 right now on as many tickets as you need. At some point, this thing will sell out. We're in a room that's capped, so there's only so much space. But last year, both of you guys had different sessions. Dillon, you got up and just did hey, let's just talk through how the system works.
Yeah.
How do you turn certain things on and turn certain things off and get to certain features? Why would you maybe use that or not use that based on your business? You guys got up there and talked about new features you're working on, things that do work and don't work for certain people, what maybe y'all see coming down the pipe. Every year I get a chance to interview Kevin, CEO of Real Geeks, who's been here since day one. This is our 5th annual event, by the way, which is crazy to think that we've been doing this for that long. And then we'll bring in a few select outside speakers, not for rah-rah, warm and fuzzies, but that can really provide actionable information that can help us build our businesses. You guys host a cocktail party, we host a cocktail party. We have a lot of fun. Sometimes people come just for that factor of I just want to gather with other people that are like me, that are headed in the same direction, that want some optimism because there's been a lot of pessimism in the media and things like that.
Yeah.
Plus there's a bunch of surprises. You guys help us bring in really great sponsors that are relevant. It's not like we're just trying to fund the event or give everybody more pens. It's people that can help you, that have proven to help Real Geeks users grow their business. And the last thing I'll add is you don't have to be a Real Geeks user. So if you have a friend, an agent, a broker, a team member that wants to build a business in the world of real estate, this event will be valuable for them. But it's obviously a home run. I don't know why any Real Geeks user would not come to this event.
Yeah, just to add on
it for that reason.
It's not about the software, right? It's not about what we do. It's about helping people grow their business. Yeah. And a lot of people get really intimidated by the software, right? There's just so much that you can do with any platform that you buy. And it's not about everything. It's about what are the 1 or 2 things that I'm going to use that's going to help me get there, right? It's the 80-20 rule. You got to spend your 20% of your time to get you 80% of the way there. And that's really what it is. And so this event is a way to talk to other real estate agents who are maybe in your space in your career, solo agents, small teams, brokers. What are they doing and how can you get to the next level? And what's the 1 or 2 things I need to be focusing on in the next 3 months? Not, what are the 27 things I need to do tomorrow? It's no. You just need to pick 1 or 2 takeaways. And this is kind of your opportunity to kind of talk and share with other people and learn what they're actually doing.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, and I've been to a lot of marketing conferences and a lot of conferences over the years, and you always see for me, I'm a very tactical, action-oriented guy, and I appreciate that about the conference because sometimes I listen to these speakers that are talking about how to feel good about yourself, essentially, and that kind of thing lasts a couple of days, but the Real Geeks community really is really based around the performance of everyone there, and everyone's really generous with the tactical, action-oriented things that you can do to scale your business. Yeah. So if you want that emotional self-help, you can read a book, and if you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, you can come to this conference.
Yeah, I'll add one thing. We do get to do some really cool stuff at the conference around actually having impact. So we're not void of emotion and but it is action oriented. It is action, information, business building oriented. Yeah. But we put all that under the umbrella of it's not worth it to put in all the work to build a business unless it leads to a great life. So there is some conversation about what a great real estate business can do for you as a person, because we're all doing this to go and get to use our gifts and fulfill our desires and our calling in our life, however you interpret that or however that excites you. I'll just add that last year was such an incredible event. We were able to raise tens of thousands of dollars to support kids in need all over the globe. And one of our speakers that did tug a little bit at the emotions was a woman who was a sponsored child through an organization that we supported through a really fun auction with some awesome prizes, and had grown up and was now telling us her story and also sponsoring kids. So she was a little bitty kid in the slums of a foreign country that needed support just to survive. Came, spoke, and then helped us raise a bunch of money to support and feed hundreds and thousands of kids. And we'll do some fun stuff like that again this year too. So it is about going and getting information to go and build your business, but we also have a great time and make a big difference too.
Excellent. Guys, any parting thoughts? I think this has been great. So nice to do this live in person.
In person.
See your faces. There's no delay. We can talk over each other, you know.
That's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been an awesome episode. If you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps us out. Also, if you have questions related to the content of this episode or anything else, you can leave a comment. We do read all of those and we filter it off to these guys. And there you go. Enjoy.